Patty Fornicola woke up on Saturday, April 16, 2005, and felt like she was trapped in a bad dream. Ray Gricar, her live-in boyfriend and the DA of Pennsylvania's Center County, hadn't come home the night before, and he was still missing.
I knew it wasn't good that Ray still hadn't been located. So then we had to make a decision about calling his daughter.
As Patty told Dateline in 2006, she decided to make that call to Laura, then a college student in Washington State.
You know, your gut tells you a lot of things. I just knew that something happened. My gut said it was bad.
Ray's friend, Bob Buhner, was bewildered when he heard the news.
I absolutely did not know what to make of it at all. It was very confusing. You know, DAs don't go missing.
Former investigator Daryl Zagani still remembers that morning.
We just handled it as a missing person, but a highly significant missing person.
Daryl has now retired from the Bellefonte police force, but back then, he was the lead investigator on the case. I assume alarm bells are ringing loudly when the DA goes missing.
The DA is missing, you get a little concerned. We figured that there's a much better chance that there's foul play involved than the guy who just doesn't come home because he's been out at the bars all night.
And that was just because you knew his character?
Well, we knew what Ray had done all his life. I mean, he had prosecuted homicides and rape for years, and then he prosecuted here and then became our DA.
Foul play was only one possibility. In those first hours after Ray went missing, the Bellefonte police say they considered several others. They ordered an aerial search of the nearby roads to look for the bright red Mini, thinking Ray may have had an accident. They ordered other searches, too. They knew Ray may have gone solo somewhere. Turns out he'd done that before. He once took off to a Cleveland Indians game.
He didn't go to this one because we called Cleveland and we had the stadium police looking for him.
Did you potentially lose time in this investigation because of a default position that he's going to turn up here soon, that there's a reasonable explanation?
No, we worked on it from the minute we decided we were going after this. This was a missing person. It was constant go, go, go.
Investigators tracked Ray's movements before he vanished and found the last known pictures of him alive on his way to the office the evening before he disappeared. It seemed routine enough, and it took them nowhere.
One of America's most intriguing mysteries.
On day 2, investigators caught a huge break. Ray's Mini was discovered in a parking lot by an antiques mall called the Street of Shops in the nearby town of Lewisburg. Ray had visited the antique stores there in the past. Now, his car was sealed up tight and locked. His cell phone was inside, but there was no sign of Ray.
I was glad that it was found, not for the car, but thinking that maybe there would be a clue.
There were clues, all right. Real puzzlers.
When they opened up the vehicle, the first initial thing that struck them was a strong odor of tobacco in the car. Ray was not a smoker, and he definitely would never let anybody smoke in his car.
There was more. Inside the car, a speck of ash on the passenger side. How to explain that in the car of a passionate non-smoker?
So it would indicate to us that somebody either been in that car smoking or at least was leaning into the car, possibly talking to Ray, holding a cigarette.
Investigators found cigarette butts on the ground and sent them off for DNA testing. Nothing there. There was no sign of a struggle or foul play, and not a blood stain in sight. Nothing to indicate that a crime had occurred in or near the car.
What still baffles me in all of this is basically lack of a crime scene. Yes.
Yolanda McClary is a crime scene investigator and an NBC News consultant.
I mean, a crime scene at least helps tell a story. Something where you can prove or disprove witness statements, testimonies, through your crime scene, through evidence. There isn't a crime scene.
But how many times have we seen crimes where someone willingly goes away with the person that ultimately kills them, and there's no crime scene?
Correct. If you willingly go, there is no crime scene. It's just the last place that you were seen.
But if the car itself gave investigators little to go on, its location in Lewisburg, 60 miles from Gricar's home, did. That shifted the investigation to Lewisburg at that point.
We knew he was definitely there then. At least the car had been there. So we immediately went down and we started pounding doors and talking to people, and then we got confirmation from people in some of the businesses in that area who had actually seen Ray. and they saw him there for several hours throughout the day.
They began building a timeline of Ray's movements in Lewisburg, but it wasn't easy because there was another Mini Cooper owner in town that day. Sean Weaver is the chief of the Bellefonte Police Department. He joined the force shortly after Ray disappeared, but he says he knows the investigation inside out.
So there was a lot of sightings of another individual. We later found out who he was. He was in a restaurant eating with a woman, but it wasn't Ray. It was another guy that has a Mini Cooper.
It was a dead end. Tony Gricar is Ray's nephew. Tony lived in Dayton, Ohio. As soon as he heard his uncle was missing, he got in his car, collected his brother, and began driving to Pennsylvania.
At the time, we thought we need to get there as quick as we can to see what kind of assistance we can provide.
But when Tony and his brother got to Lewisburg and saw the scene where Ray's car was found, they were stunned.
Here we go again. That was the exact first thought.
The investigation into Ray Gricar's disappearance was about to take a whole new turn.